What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel. And yes, I am finally back with an album review. It's been over a week since the last one I did. For those who don't know, I'm gonna keep it short, sweet, to the point. Had computer issues, got parts to build a new one, got a new one built, and here we are. So this is kind of the beginning of a new era, so to speak, for the channel. It's always, after a new computer, it's always the start of a new era for the channel in terms of quality and such. But enough about that. I am here to talk about the latest and possibly final studio offering from my favorite German thrash metal band of all time, Sodom, the Arsonist. This came out on June 27th on Steamhammer Records, and this is their 17th or 18th studio album. It depends on if you count The Final Sign of Evil as a full length in their catalog, but regardless, I have been eager to check this one out, considering Sodom's my personal favorite German thrash band, one of my 15 to 20 favorite bands of all time. And with all the rumors circulating about what's going to happen with the band, I was curious to give this a listen, and well, let's go ahead and talk about it. So yeah, we kick off after the intro title track. It goes into the True Blue opener of Battle of Harvest Moon, and right out of the rip you get classic thrash Sodom riffing. It's just gnarly, it's furious, it's angry. But there's also a couple of nuances on this track. Like, there's some punky beats going on, as well as in the chorus, big hardcore grooves to kind of like get the crowds going whenever they would play this song live, if at all. But of course there are some cool like galloping rhythms happening, and of course awesome shredding trade-offs with the lead section. Both Frank Blackfire, who is still killing it on guitars, and their young gun, one of the young guns, Yorick Segatz, they just play off each other very well. And of course it's the second straight album with two guitarists, which, yeah, they started doing that on the last album, Genesis 19, and it worked pretty well there. I think it works better on this album, in my personal opinion. But I love how, across the board, the leads are awesome on here, and the trade-offs between Frank and Yorick are just tastefully done. But towards the end of the song, there's like murky build and atmosphere happening to a doomy breakdown, almost kind of like a Slayer breakdown a little bit, which you get that again on the following track, Trigger Discipline, which was one of my favorites on the album. You get like dark melodies and tribal drums before it unleashes into just a freight train onslaught of thrash metal. It's furious, it's ferocious, awesome riffs, great leads, of course. And then a Slayer breakdown shows up once again here, which those are really the only songs where I would say there was like true blue breakdowns. Then the rest of the album, you get kind of a mixed bag of different styles of songwriting on here. Like, as far as like the straight up thrash metal, you still get plenty of those, especially on tracks like Gun Without Groom, Tapophobia, and even the closer, Return to God in Parts. Like, those songs still have plenty of straight up thrash metal to it. However, even within some of those songs, they add different touches. Like, I would say in particular, Gun Without Groom, while it's still very thrashy, you do get some tremolo riffs that don't appear that much on this album. Like, it's mostly that straight up thrash riffing. And then also some triplet chugs and blast beats that make you think, did they all of a sudden go to death metal in this section, which was pretty cool. And then even in Tapophobia, it's a little more melodic, but you still get like some punky riffs and D-beat stomps and sinister tremolos to kind of add extra spices and seasonings to this meat and potatoes album. And then Return to God in Parts, it's got mostly gallops and Slayer grooves, but it does get thrashy towards the end, along with the crazy leads. Now, as far as like other aspects like Sane and Sanity, there's some thrashier moments, but I would argue the beginning with those tremolos, kind of a little bit sleazy, and dare I say it kind of harkens back to the very early days of Sodom, and I'm talking In the Sign of Evil and Obsessed by Cruelty. Like, there's that charm to the beginning of Sane and Sanity before it just goes away from sleaze and towards aggression. But of course, some more hardcore grooves come into play. Now, chug and groove comes in quite a bit on a couple of tracks, in particular, Scavenger and Obliteration of the Aeons. Those two songs have some awesome groove and chug, but they're both pretty different songs. Like Scavenger is mostly a mid-tempo stomper with little atonal melodies and plenty of killer drum work. Like Tony Merkel puts on a hell of a performance on the album, and it even continues that way with the beginning of Gun Without Groom. Going back to a couple other songs like The Spirits That I Called, not counting the opening interlude, it's the shortest track of the album at under 3 minutes, and it's just short, sweet to the point, riff farm. And it's mostly downstroke riffs, kind of like Metallica. So anytime I think of downstroke riffs in a thrash song, Metallica's the first band I think of. But there's also some pretty cool gallops. And then there's two songs on here. And actually, before I get into that, the song Twilight Void brings back more triplet chugs into the song, and it's mostly in triplet pattern. Even when the song speeds up to D beats, it's still done in triplet pattern, but it starts off kind of dark, kind of evil, sinister with the melodies. But the two songs in particular that were interesting in their own rights, because they were both more like speed metal, classic heavy metal, punky tracks, Witch Hunter and AWTF. Witch Hunter, which of course is in reference and tribute to the late great Chris Witch Hunter, the classic drummer of Sodom. The song itself's got like classic metal gallops and riffs, but with that like speed metal punk spirit to it. Almost feels like a song I could have seen Darkthrone do on like Circle the Wagons or the Underground Resistance. Like it kind of has that charm to it. And then AWTF, which stands for Algie Ward, the founder, who was actually one of the founding members of the classic new wave of British heavy metal / speed metal band Tank. And of course, Tom Angel Ripper. Not only does he put on a great vocal and bass performance, but this song is definitely his love letter to Tank again, because Tom has said that the new wave of British heavy metal was the big wheelhouse for him early on, like Venom, Motorhead, Raven, Tank. Those are some of the biggest influences on him. This song is a great song that feels like it would be a Tank track. Like it's, again, classic metal, riffs, gallops, and punky speed metal D beats galore. But yeah, just basically all these songs deliver something different, but still has that thrash metal spirit to them. As far as any negatives go, I will say the ending of the closer, Return to God in Parts, I wish they could have extended the lead and maybe gone back to the main thrash riff that was going on in the lead and just carry that to the end instead of cutting it off and ending off with weird ambience. And then, of course, I will say the production is commendable for sure. I actually like the production. It's raw, but it's well balanced. It doesn't sound like crap. It sounds well mixed for the most part. I will say the drums at times do overpower everything, especially the kick and the snare. The snare at times sound different from every song. And I get they wanted to make the drums sound very natural, but at the same time, I wish the snare could have had a little bit less of that, like, ring as if you're hearing an actual snare being hit without any, like, sounds added to it in the mixing board. But yeah, I just wish it could have had a beefier drum sound, and the kick drums are really, like, in your ear, thudding into your ear, which is both a positive and a negative, so it cancels each other out pretty much. I was kind of hoping they would have done the production they did for their recent 40th anniversary compilation album, 40 Years of Hell or Sodom, something like that. I have it. I was kind of hoping they would have repeated that production for this album, but make the snare a little bit bigger. Sadly, we didn't get that, but I do appreciate the production for what it is. But overall, all these songs are great for the most part. Now, to address the whole rumor of what's going on with the band, I've been hearing a lot of conflicting things, like they're going on hiatus or they're breaking up entirely, and that this is it for them. If this is indeed the final Sodom album we're ever going to get, This was a great album. Now, does it rank among the upper echelon Sodom albums like, M16, Code Red, Agent Orange, Tapping the Vein, Persecution Mania? No. It would in fact rank right in the middle. I would say it's better than Genesis 19, Epitome of Torture, and Decision Day, and it's on par with an album like In War and Pieces. So overall, I'm going to give this a strong 4 out of 5. It's a perfect 4. It doesn't lean towards 4.5 or 3.5. It's a perfect 4 out of 5. It's a great album. I will definitely be picking it up eventually. If you are a Sodom fan, definitely listen to this. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching, keep your horns high, and your dreams wet.